Now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for a time of meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable position in your seats. Close your eyes if you wish, and take a few deep breaths. Let go of any distractions or worries that may be on your mind.
One life, one love, one peace in our lifetime, one life at a time, one truth, one world, one peace in our lifetime, one life at a time, one life, one love, one life at a time, one truth, one world, one life at a time, one voice, one choice, one peace in our lifetime, one life at a time, one prayer, one dream, one peace in our lifetime, one life at a time, one life, one love, one life at a time, one truth, one world, one life at a time, just one life at a time.
And so, friends, as the music recedes into your heart and your body and your bones and your spirit, I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you and take a deep and gentle breath or two, giving thanks for the knowing that we are always in oneness, regardless of whether or not we are in the same physical space. We are one with the planet. We are one with the waters and the trees and the animals. And we are one with all people. It can sometimes be easy to lose sight of that fact when we hear of violence and separation and division. And yet we know these are temporary conditions, temporary experiences. And though they may indeed be very grievous, no one and no thing can separate us from the source of love that connects us all, that connects all life. For in truth, we are all made of this love. It is at the core of who we are, And it is our affirmation. It is at the core of what we do. So that more fully than ever before, each one of us as an individual and each one of us as members of this community can amplify the expansion of grace, which is a form of love in the world. So I invite you to join me in taking a few moments in silence, connecting with the truth of the words, I am love. I am love. I am love. And so, friends, I invite you to take another deep and gentle breath and slowly exhale. And as you take another gentle breath or two, I invite you to wiggle your fingers and toes. And when you're ready to let the light of love that you are shine into the world, open your eyes and allow a small smile to cross your lips. Amen.
Open to the world, open to spirit, open to the changing wind, open to touch, open to nature, open to the world within. Open to change, open to adventure, open to the new, open to love, open to miracles, open, beloved, to you. Open to learn, open to laughter, open to being blessed, open to joy, open to service. I'm open to saying yes. I'm open to risk, open to passion, to peace and silence too. Open to love, open to beauty, open, beloved, to you. Open, beloved, to you. Open, beloved, to you.
Thank you, David. And thanks to everyone at Unity of Davis for inviting me back. I'm always humbled and honored to get an invitation. And Unity of Davis folks have always been so gracious and kind. And so it's just a real joy and an honor for me to be here. I'm celebrating a lot today. So first thing we're celebrating, some of you may have heard, is that we are celebrating the 69th birthday of Unity of Fairfax today. Unity of Fairfax was established by a lady named Mildred Park, Reverend Mildred Park, in 1956. September 17th is our actual birth date. So this particular community is a Virgo, if that means something to you. The other thing I'm celebrating is that tomorrow is my 35th anniversary with my husband. We were legally married 12 years ago, but count the date of our anniversary, the day we met, because we've been together ever since. So sometimes people ask, so what's the secret? And some of you who have been in long-term relationship know what the secret is. The secret is it's all give and take, and you get no time off for good behavior. So actually, I heard my grandmother told me that, my grandparents' 50th anniversary. And then the other thing I'm celebrating, which is actually next month, in October 13th, I'll be 60. And so I'm doing something really special for my birthday this year. I'm getting a new right hip. So a lot of people wouldn't think to do that, but you know, this is how my brain rolls. So I'm getting a new hip. Ooh. That's not really related to my message. I just wanted to connect with you and share what's happening in my world a little bit. So Wise and Wise, the name of what I want to share with you today, stems from something that happened during my sabbatical, or really what was right before my sabbatical. So I was very fortunate this summer to have a sabbatical, a real great gift to have a couple months off and not have to worry about the day-to-day operations here at the church. I got only a few calls. They were legitimate, and I was glad I got called, but that's a whole different story. But by and large, had really remarkable experiences. And just prior to going on sabbatical, I have started to lean into the question, why? Why do I do what I do? Why does Unity of Fairfax do what it does? And the same thing could be said for all of us and for Unity of Davis. And ostensibly for our communities, our why is summed up in our vision and mission statements. You know, where are we going with all of this? And what's our end game, our vision, and the mission? How are we going to get there? So, of course, Fairfax has those. And I have one for myself, a de facto operating vision. And that's really that as a person, my why, really as it relates to my service to humanity, is to be a unity minister. And at the same time, life happens, stuff happens, and all professionals or all people sometimes have to take some time to reacquaint, to deepen in relationship with our why, or to accept the fact we need a new why. And I think in our lives, we all have multiple whys or wives. It just, you know, depends on how you hear that. We have multiple whys, and that's fine. As one of my great teachers once said, we come together with people or with organizations or with particular tasks for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. There's nothing wrong with any one of those. And if you are investing energy into any kind of relationship, and that's again with your work, with your volunteer service, with people, it's important and imperative that we understand our why so that we might engage it wisely, so that we are using our energy effectively to attain the outcomes that we desire to see happen. Are you with me so far? Does that make sense? Okay, great. Thanks. So so that was my point. So the assignment I had given myself during my sabbatical was to really just percolate, to just be with that question, whether or not I had a clear cut answer at the end. And so as I returned to the ministry, I got the question. So, what was the high point of your sabbatical? And I said, well, there are too many to count. But the thing that was most meaningful to me happened on the second day of my sabbatical. So, day two, we had left Virginia and gone up for a family reunion in the Berkshire Mountains of Western Massachusetts. Anybody ever been there? Western Mass? Not nearly as big as California. Mountains aren't nearly as high. Very beautiful and well worth a visit. So, on the second morning, it was June 29th. I did as I often do, probably do too much, opened up my phone, looked at Facebook. And how many of you have a Facebook account? Okay, so then you'll probably notice that there are times when you will a picture or a memory will pop up, your memory from so many years ago today. So what happened on June 29th of this year was a memory popped up first thing in the morning. So I'm just barely through my first cup of coffee, if that far along. And the memory comes up, and it is a picture I had taken when we were doing a hike in the Shenandoah National Park. And it's a picture of a mama bear. And what you can't really see so much in the picture are her cubs. And I realized this could be a problem because we are in the enclosure with the mama bear and her cubs. Chances are she's not going to be too fond of this situation. Well, we must have been downwind of her, or yeah, I think that's how it is, because she didn't seem to notice us. And as we were kind of like slowly backing up, it's like, I got to get away from this bear and her cubs. It was absolutely the most adorable scene, because watching the little cubs, and they would run and they would jump on her, and then she'd turn around and then they'd climb up a tree and she'd look to see where they were going. And I've never really had the experience of being in a wild animal enclosure to that point. And it was beautiful and a little bit frightening, but just kind of amazing. So I took the picture and I posted it 10 years ago on June 29th. The very first person to like the picture, and because you can see the very first person's name, was my mother. Now, what you may not know is my mother made her transition in January. So you can imagine having that sort of very synchronistic, heartfelt experience with my own mama bear. So I was just touched by that. Well, one of our family members who was with us sent a picture of the daily devotional that she reads, and it was a story about a barber. Now, interestingly enough, my husband's mother was a barber. So we get this message about a barber on the day we get the mama bear message. And I think, oh, okay, this is just really special. So we decided to go for a walk, this family member and I. Well, she was walking and I was kind of hobbling because, I'm getting a new hip, by the way, if I haven't already told you. And so as I'm telling her this story, we stopped and right behind a car. It was in the parking lot. And I'm telling her the story. And I turned and looked behind me at the car for whatever reason, and there were two window stickers in the car. One said "Mom," the other was a picture, you guessed it, of a bear. And as I'm telling Patty this, and I pointed out to her, I said, "Look at that! There's the bear." And she goes, "My mother made her transition on this day, 20 years ago." all of these meaningful events coming to mind, coming to play. And I thought to myself, one of the advantages of being on a sabbatical, which is very much like having a spiritual practice, is that when we take time to slow down, to intentionally become still, then we can see connections and synchronicities. And if you want to call them messages all around us that are significant and meaningful and beautiful and remind us that we are loved and that love never fails. And that love is greater than powers and principalities and Facebook feeds and social media and the news and all of that. That love remains. So how does this relate to this notion of my why? Just prior to going on sabbatical, and the thing that started me on this question of why was I had landed upon some work by a business consultant named Simon Sinek. That's Sinek, not Cynic, like cynic. Like, yeah, really. So Sinek, some of you may be familiar with him, is an advocate of what he calls this whole notion of what's your why, or find your why. When you're clear in your purpose, then you can be very successful in whatever that is. And in leadership circles, his book begins with understanding, and in his work, that there are two main ways of motivating human behavior or influencing human behavior. One is manipulation, and the other one is inspiration. So I began to really ponder how am I inspired? Because I certainly don't want to be manipulated. I certainly don't want to manipulate anybody. But how does inspiration show up in my life? And how does that connect me to my why? So it became apparent that when I looked at the things I have committed to, namely ministry, that there were some very bold and powerful examples of how that commitment showed up. So classic case. Let me give you a little bit more of my own history. I was elected to the board of my first church in Wilmington, North Carolina in 1992. We went on board retreat and I got a call to ministry, which was kind of odd to me. I'd only been in Unity for not even 3 years, wasn't churched growing up. And I'm getting this calling to teach principle and support people in living their best life. And I thought, well, how is this going to happen? I need to take a lot of classes. I'm woefully in debt thanks to going out of state to college. And, but I was just advised, just do the next right thing, do the thing that works out. So I got all my credits and everything. And then when a staff member left the church and I had just lost my job, then I got a job at the church and I applied to ministerial school. And I thought, this is great. And I got redirected, which is the term we called it at the time, which meant it wasn't a no. It's just not a not now. So then a friend recommended becoming a licensed Unity teacher, and I highly encourage any of you to consider that as well. So I went through the licensed Unity teacher program and was told that I could apply to the field ordination program. That's the way I went through. And so right as I submitted my application, I was told, oh, you have to wait a whole year from your licensure date. And it's only been 9 months. And I thought, are you kidding me? So needless to say, I waited the year, applied the program, got supported in the program. It all worked out, and I was committed. So back to the mama bears. When I think about the 3 women, mama bears in my story, my mother, my mother-in-law, my goddaughter's grandmother, and I looked at their lives and the way in which they impacted people, the way in which they served their communities, and the struggles that they all went through, I realized they knew their why. And their why, at least for those 3, was pretty much about their children and wanting to make sure that their children thrived and prospered and were taught how to make good decisions. Although I think Yeah, not so sure. All the kids made good decisions, including this one, but they were committed and they didn't give up, even when times got really hard. So I'm looking at my role in ministry now, and the world is has some challenges going on. That's understating, and I'm very grievously concerned. And yet, what I garnered from that experience was I have been modeled mama bear energy. And it's not only been modeled, it's in me. And regardless of whether we identify as male, female, or non binary, it doesn't matter. That consciousness of mama bear that would do anything to protect her young is in me. And I would say it is in all of us. When we understand what it is to which we have been called and how to make our contributions and share our light in the world. Now, for me, it's in ministry, and it doesn't have to be, and that's not the only way. Each one of us will have that energy and does have that energy available, whether you are an artist, parent, grandparent, great grandparent, city council person, member of your homeowners association. All of us, I believe, are invited and called to share our most powerful self with the world, as symbolized in that experience as Mama Bear. And we have a lot of examples in the macro system as well. I love sharing the stories of heroes and sheroes in my messages. You think about people like Harriet Tubman or Frederick Douglass or Dolores Huerta, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Sojourner Truth, all these incredibly inspired people who did incredibly amazing things, along with the women I just mentioned who are not famous and probably never will be outside of our own families, but still had a tremendous impact. And the reason why all of these people had an impact was because they had love and because they had something else that is central to what we teach in the unity movement: faith. Faith is stronger than hope. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things unseen, as we read in the letter to the Hebrews in the Christian scriptures. What my time away offered me, along with that mama bear energy, was the time to just step away and connect with my faith. I believe in the principles that we teach in the unity movement. I think you do too. I believe that each life experience offers a new way to understand the power principle. And I've also learned along the way to never waste a bad experience. You may have had one or two, or if you haven't, you may know people who have. As we say in our peace song, our prayer of protection, wherever we are, God is. That means that wherever we are, love is. That means wherever we are, strength is. And wherever we are, love is. So, what I would invite you to do this week is to invest some time or allow some time to be with the question, what's my why? And how might I serve it wisely? Peace be with you. Thank you.